Many people may question how creativity factors into weight loss success. Sure, we need focus, willpower, determination, but creativity? Yes. In fact, in my experience, being creative is a key factor in any long-term weight mastery journey. If you feel like you may lack the creative gene, take pause and tune in with my special guest, Maria Brito. For 13 years, Maria has been studying what makes people creative. She used each skill and technique in her new book, How Creativity Rules the World, to pivot her career from being a corporate a 7-figure art advisory and consulting company. She is also an expert at teaching people how to turn on their creativity gene and use it to innovate groundbreaking ideas for business, life, and as we discuss, weight mastery. So stay tuned. Did you know that our struggle with weight doesn't start with the food on your plate or get fixed in the gym? 80% of our weight struggle is mental. That's right. The key to unlocking long-term weight release and management begins in your mind. Hi there, I'm Rita Black. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, weight loss expert, best-selling author, and the creator of the Shift Weight Mastery process. And not only have I helped thousands of people over the past 20 years achieve long-term weight mastery, I am also a former weight struggler, carb addict, and binge eater. And after 2 decades of failed diets and fad weight loss programs, I lost 40 pounds with the help of hypnosis. Not only did I release all that weight, I have kept it off for 25 years. Enter the Thin Thinking podcast, where you too will learn how to remove the mental roadblocks that keep you struggling. I'll give you the thin thinking tools, skills, and insights to help you develop the mindset you need, not only to achieve your ideal weight, but to stay there long term and live your best life. Sound good? Let's get started. Hello, dear listeners. I am full of gratitude today. Last year, in the heart of the pandemic, I began the Thin Thinking podcast, and I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope you feel at home here, and I'm excited because in the next week's episode, it is actually our first anniversary of the Thin Thinking podcast, and in honor of that, I am doing a Thin Thinking podcast review and prize drawing. So here are the details. Take a picture of the Thin Thinking review you wrote on the platform you listen to us on and send it to Rita@shiftweightmastery.com. All the deets will be in the show notes. Now, if you can't remember that, just go to the show notes and you will then be put into a prize drawing for the end of the month. And there are going to be 3 runner-up prizes of $100 worth of downloads from the Shift Weight Mastery Hypnosis download store, and a grand prize winner who will win a free place in our upcoming live online Shift Weight Mastery process that's going to be led by me. And so this is an awesome prize worth hundreds of dollars. So please share your reviews. And just FYI, for those of you listening, this is the timeline here is until the end of March 2022, because that's where we are right now. So today we are going to discuss creativity, how being creative is at the heart of weight, business, and life mastery. And my guest, Maria Brito, is a creativity expert. And even if you don't think you are very creative, she knows how to teach you to tap into the creative genius within. So I'm excited to introduce to you my guest, Maria Brito. I interviewed Maria on creativity and asked her how we can start to develop it. Maria, so you know, is an award-winning contemporary art advisor, author, and curator. A Harvard graduate, originally from Venezuela, she was selected by Complex magazine as one of the 20 power players in the art world and chosen by Art News as one of the visionaries who gets to shape the art world. She has written for publications such as Entrepreneur, Huffington Post, Elle, Forbes, and countless others. And for several years, Maria has taught her creativity course to top companies. Maria and her projects have been featured extensively in national and international publications, including the New York Times Style section, the New York Times Magazine, Wall Street Journal, W Magazine, Time Magazine, New York Magazine, the New York Observer, the Daily Beast, The Economist, Vogue, the Financial Times, and more. And she lives in New York City with her husband and 2 sons. So welcome to Thin Thinking, Maria.
Hi, Rita. I'm so happy to be here. And hello, everybody who is tuning in. Hi. Hello. Happy to talk to you today.
Yes. Well, I am so excited because I think this whole idea of creativity and weight management, not a lot of people think about weight management from a creative perspective, but I think how we use the brain is so important. And I wanted to hear more from you, how we can put our brain in creative mode to achieve our goals, to get weight management, to get more of what we want out of life, not just weight management. So can you first, though, just tell us a little bit about you? Because I'm sure I find this really fascinating what you do, and I'm sure the audience will find it very fascinating as well.
Yes, well, thanks. I'm an art advisor and a curator. And what that means is that I am the eyes and ears of my clients, the art collectors, and I go to galleries, museums, art fairs around the world looking for the new best talents or, the middle of the career talents and things that I recommend to my clients so that they can build their art collections around their passions and around their interests and obviously gain financial value over time. And in the midst of all this, I worked with more than 450 of the most successful contemporary artists in the world who are visionaries and pioneers of many ideas. And I learned a lot about them. I learned a lot about my clients. And I figured at some point that my clients, the CEOs of these companies, or actors, actresses, people from the entertainment world, or inventors, they and the artists shared a lot of commonalities, and it was all about their creative thinking, their ability to come up with solutions, their disruptive ideas. And I love that, I was able to kind of put all these things together, not only for me, because I used to be a corporate attorney and I transitioned into this field 13 years ago, coming from a very dry and barren world into what I build for myself.
Right.
And I think that the genesis of it all is creativity and creative thinking, not as artistic talent, as someone who can, paint a canvas, but creativity as unique ability that people have to come up with ideas of value that are relevant, right? I mean, and that is in any field. Marketing requires a lot of creativity, and managing your life too, right? Managing your life requires creativity.
I think this is so important because I think that a lot of people would say, if you ask them if they're creative, they'll say no. And they'll think of this. They'll think, well, I'm not a painter. I'm not artistically inclined, or I'm not musically inclined, but creativity is really a brain skill. It really is engaging your brain in a particular way. And that's why I think what you have learned is so fascinating. And what you're going to discuss with us today is just like, how do we engage our brain? Because, when we don't know it, but when we're making decisions or helping our kids solve problems, we are engaging that part of our brain. But I think a lot of us think we're creative by accident, rather it being something that you can cultivate. It can become a skill that you can use versus something that just happens by accident.
Creativity is a muscle, and like anything in life, people have to work at their creative skills every day. Because if someone goes to the gym once a month, they are probably not going to see a lot of results. If they go once a week, they probably will see maybe, I don't know. And if they go 5 times a week, they are really going to see great results, especially over time with consistency, right?
Right.
So creativity is very similar in the sense that we work at our skills. And one thing is, people feel also that creativity is just that one magic God given talent, and it's not. Many psychologists have already separated the, you know, art, business, and science of creativity, and what it is an amalgamation of skills. That,
Mm,
so it's not one thing. It is humans' desires and willingness to incorporate all these different skills in their lives and to hone them daily, right? And sometimes people work more at some of them, and sometimes people work some at some others, because it all depends on what you're looking for at any given time. Ideally, they
right.
will all be part of your repertoire, but it's like anything in life. Sometimes you're more inclined to have this desire to be a risk taker because you feel that you have everything that it's playing out so that you can actually take those risks. And risk taking is part of being creative, as it is the idea of being autonomous. When you have an idea but you immediately kill it or you self censor yourself, that's actually
Mm,
anti creative. But if you are authentic and autonomous and you believe that you can back up your findings, your truth, whatever came to your mind, right, with actions and with taking those things to reality, that is part of being creative. So all those things are not expensive, they are not hard to find, but it's difficult to get some sort of a manual that tells you what to do and how to do it.
yes. Yes. Well, you have been immersed in this world and you have really, I would say, like what, honed, synthesized, boiled down these skills and techniques. And Maria is, it's very exciting because that she's here today because she's publishing a book and it's coming out on March 15th, 2022, for those of you who are listening to this. Prior to that, I'm going to put the link in the show notes because I want you to go get it because you're going to get this amazing, it's a lot of amazing bonuses as well. But this book is called Creativity, How Creativity Rules the World. And it is by Harper. It's coming out by published by HarperCollins. I'm getting this very miscombobulated. I'm not being very creative. But tell us, and I want you to tell us a little more about the book. But I have a first question, Maria, for you. Is so, how does creativity, why is it so important? Like I look at the difference between like American innovation and other places around the world, and I know you see it through the lens of that, but like in your mind, like why is creativity so important, and why does it rule the world?
Well, creativity is the foundation of every idea. And without ideas, there's no progress. And we are all going backwards, right? And without the execution of those ideas. So every big breakthrough comes from creativity in every field. And that it ranges from the world of medicine to the world of accounting, right? I mean, anything and everything in between started with a great idea. The Zoom where we're talking right now, the car that you turn on every day. So creativity rules the world, because without that, we would be in the ice age, right? I mean, we'll not really have all the things that we have right now for our comfort, for our to extend our lifespans like we have as humans, to bring your podcast to people who want to think and things like that, right? So creativity is the foundation of everything, because the idea is one thing, creativity is more specific. It's kind of like, I have the idea and now I'm going to apply it to
Right.
life. I'm going to bring it to life. And it also creativity is always also a part of decision making, is also a part of problem solving.
Right.
For the longest time, a lot of psychologists and writers and researchers wanted to separate these ideas of creativity with a small c and creativity with a big C. If it was a big
Mm,
C, it's like this great inventions and breakthroughs. But I think that's bullshit, because I don't really like to think about that the concept of creativity is just reserved for a few. In fact, I want to demystify that position and give people a whole host of reasons and techniques, methods, and all the kind of uh, you know psychological research too that exists that proves that this is not just for a handful of chosen ones, and it's not a god-given talent, and it is not something that is genetic or that you inherit from your parents, but it is merely a series of actions and habits that each one of us must be willing to cultivate. And
You
that's it.
know, can I just say how what you just said is so important? And it is exactly what I say to people when it comes to long-term permanent weight management. Like, when somebody goes on a diet, often it's something that exists outside of them. It requires zero creativity. It actually requires conforming to an idea. And but when people, and research has shown that when people move from what you would call the external locus of control, like all the exterior events happening to you, you're kind of a victim of your circumstances, versus internal locus of control, when you're really taking charge and taking responsibility for your weight mastery, you are cultivating habits, thoughts, strategies that into your life, you are creating this synergistic lifestyle, which evolves over time. No weight mastery journey is inflexible. It's incredibly flexible. It's not static. I think a lot of people think of it as like, let me lock this in and keep it like this forever, which you can't. You have to have a flexible mind. You have to have a creative mind. So that's why this is so exciting to me. So what are a few steps that we can start taking, Maria, that can like just to become more creative in our day-to-day life?
Well, a lot of these things overlap with your philosophy because one of the things that actually strangles creativity the most is when people multitask and when they are so drowned in their worlds with noise and activities and whatnot that they don't really have time to listen to their own ideas. And this sounds
Mhm.
extraordinarily simple when I say it, but it is so hard to put in practice because first we have also a generation of millennials and Gen Z who've grown with all this noise as
Mm.
part of their environments. In fact, Harvard University put together a study where they had a bunch, I mean, I don't know, 600, I don't know how many young students who they were experimenting with them, and they were sort of like seeing their reactions and ask them what was better, either being alone for 15 minutes or 10 minutes or receiving an electrical shock during those. Like, it was not something that was major, but an electrical shock that was very uncomfortable, and they all not all, but the majority prefer the electric shock,
Oh my gosh.
which tells you that people can't even be with themselves anymore
Mm.
or alone in a position and in a, let's say, mindfulness. So mindfulness is one of the greatest opportunities that people have to be creative because it allows you to be with yourself. It allows you to be in the present moment,
Mm.
and it allows you to pay attention to what's happening now, right? Not in the future, not yesterday, but now.
Yeah.
And by the same token, silence, meditation are also very important components of people with great ideas. Steve Jobs was a huge proponent of Zen meditation, which he
Mm.
did daily, and so was his co-founder of Apple, Steve Wozniak. Both of them were huge meditators. Well, Wozniak is still alive and he still does it,
Mm.
but it was very, very well known that Steve Jobs had gotten into the practice of different varieties of meditation, and that he said to his biographer, Walter Isaacson, that when the mind quiets, you don't hear the noise anymore, but you start seeing possibilities. And so this is
Mm.
so, so important. And I know that, many people already are in the practice of meditation, and the whole mindfulness industry is like $2 billion, and people invent all these grottos with infrareds and incense, and you don't need that, right? I mean, like honestly, I tell people in my book that start with 5 minutes of
Mm,
silence. You don't
mhm.
have to be in levitating position.
Right.
You don't have to be in lotus. You don't have to do anything other than, because it's important for people to understand that this is so basic that
Yes.
you don't need to have the position, and you don't need to be on a yoga mat. Just please, close your eyes and put your iPhone alarm or whatever for 5 minutes, and kind of increase it from there as at your own pace. If it takes you a month to go to minute 6, well, so be it. I much rather see people who are doing it for 5 minutes every day for a month and then go into 6 minutes than people who just like try to increase it too fast and then they hate it and they don't do it anymore.
Yes. It's so interesting because I talk about mindfulness and taking time to meditate in the morning to think our day through, because I think, again, so many people wake up and the day just happens to them rather than creating their day. And with regards to health, with regards to their weight loss goals, with regards to how they're going to run their life. And I also take time on Sunday morning to create my week and think about that. And that's very much a part of what I say to people. I think we were talking earlier, and I was saying Jeff Bezos. Also, I know you mentioned Steve Jobs, but would take a day a week when he was running Amazon just to think, just to clear his schedule and innovate. So basically, what you're saying is in 5 minutes, that morning meditation can get their creative juices flowing for the day.
Absolutely, especially because if you think about it, 5 minutes every day, they start to accumulate. And this is
Mm,
something that the brain responds very well to when you have been given these moments of peace and calm, which are essential for coming up with ideas and solutions, no matter what you do or what area you want to apply them to, whether it is coming up with a strategy for your diet or to your next $1 million idea, which for the most part, Rita, if I tell you the truth, a lot of people leave their $1 million ideas inside of their head
right.
because they do not act on them, thinking that they are outlandish or nonsense. And the truth is, the most outlandish ideas are the ones that have changed the world.
You're right. You're right. The ones that everybody said this person was crazy were the ideas that changed the world. Absolutely. So, how about another little tidbit of how we can be more creative in our day-to-day life?
It's very important for people to know that the era of the hyper specialist, although it's a wonderful thing to be, is kind of over because, I mean, unless, look, you're a doctor finding the next cure to cancer, which of course, and even so, scientists have to look outside of the fields that they are researching or where they are experts, because usually the most creative ideas do not come from business as usual. Usually the most creative ideas do not come from hyper specialization. They come from intersections. They come from something that has been done in one area and is translated to another, right? It's something that
Yes.
has been tested. For example, when the field of the all that has to do with, for example, Apple watches and trackers of fitness and steps and calories and time, it's sleeping and whatever, was a whole intersection of medicine, technology, fitness, and the pioneer of that was Polar in the 70s, which it seems
Wow.
crazy that it happened so long ago. It's an example that I actually quote in my book, is how this kind of like cross-pollination of fields is what makes the most incredible and interesting and lucrative products or
Mm,
services or moments, right? It's not just one thing. Nothing
right.
really too narrow or too pure can give us a lot of creative breakthroughs.
Right. And I think building on your an idea, then then sparks another idea. I'm just thinking about weight management and how like you come up against an obstacle and a lot of people give up rather than kind of sitting with it and creating their next step forward. And I think innovation happens like that too, right?
Definitely. And if you think about it, right, like if you have been doing the same thing over and over in weight management and it's not working out, you've got to start looking somewhere else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about this, how the supposed tried and true methods are being debunked every day or discarded every
Right.
day because that, first of all, may have not ever been optimal. And second, as humans, and this incredible saying that Albert Einstein used to paraphrase, insanity is the definition of doing the same thing and expecting different results.
Oh,
It's like
and that's exactly what diets are over and over again,
yes, I
expecting the
mean,
same result.
I hate the word diet, and it's more, lifestyle or
Great. And creating a
self-love,
lifestyle.
the concept of self-love and self-respect and how we treat our bodies and how we treat our minds. But
Right.
the thing is, it all starts in the mind. That's the truth. And
Absolutely.
I think also, Rita, when people find creative fulfillment in what they
Mhm.
do, it positions them very differently in their lives, and the way that they see things and the way that they see themselves in relationship to their
Mhm.
lives is very different than when people are miserable, they are in a job that they hate, or in a position where they can't really flourish.
Mm.
And the I mean, look, it's just the way it is, right? I mean, like, our bodies are a reflection of how we feel inside,
Yeah.
and it all starts inside. So I encourage everybody to really find those passions, and not everything has to be fun and games, right? I mean, there are
No.
drudgeries in every business, in every job, but if the majority of the time you're filled and you think that you're doing something amazing and you are utilizing your ideas for the betterment of society, then you feel very happy with where you are in your life. So, and that reflects obviously in the way you treat your body.
Exactly. Well, now staying on this creative theme, I want to hear because you created a course, a creativity program. So tell me how you create a course on creativity and how do people like, what are the kind of results that people get? Do they become more creative? Like, tell us more about that.
Yeah, this was something that my clients, and in the art, advisory business of my business, they used to call me, once they got to know me and what I was doing, and say, look, is it okay if I can hire you to come to my company where I'm the CEO or whatever, right? And to talk to my employees and give them a workshop on what you have been able to do with your life, transition from being a corporate attorney to an art advisor and CEO and business owner, and grow your business and your brand. And also because my clients told me, you have had so much to learn and you have been in touch with so many artists in your life, that we would love to hear from you what they think, how they see things. Because again, being creative is being able to operate from a lot of different angles too. So if you
Right.
just see life from one angle, you're super rigid, inflexible, and not creative at all, right? But the CEOs, despite the fact that they were not in the world of art, but banking and engineering and tech and fashion, whatever, I mean, they still wanted me to talk about this thing. So I designed a workshop that started as a 2-hour thing, and then it became a 4-hour thing, a whole day and whatnot, for these executives, and they loved it because it took them really far out of their zone of what
Right.
they do normally, and it allowed them to see things from a completely different point of view that they won't normally do, right? And so I started thinking that since I had gotten so many of these requests, if I could turn that program into an online program,
Mm-hmm.
and to offer it to people for a fraction of the cost, obviously, of what companies can pay me.
Right.
And so I tweaked the curriculum a little bit, because it's a very different thing when you are in a company and you're in front of people and
Yeah.
you're moving around than if you are on a screen. And so I tweaked that. And basically, what I am aiming to do with this program is to show people that there are basic habits and attitudes that they can develop in their lives every day. What most people lack, honestly, is a foundation on these habits, because there are 100 and 1,000 programs and courses online that says, well, this is how you do marketing, this is how you do social media,
Right.
this is how you use captions, this is hashtags, you know what I mean? But like the foundational part, how do you actually know what you need? How do you actually develop the right idea and formulate the right question to know what's going to be your next step in your business? Where are you going to find? Because once you have the idea, walking backwards from there is easier than actually doing it the other way around. Like, oh,
Right.
now I have the marketing piece, but I don't know what to do with my life, right? Like, oh, I am, the genius of SEO, but I have no clue what type of business I'm going to open online. So that leaves you at a
Right.
worse position, right? And so what
Right.
this course does is it gives you all the basics. And when I say basics, I don't want to diminish it, because this is really work that took me years to put together, but it actually helps people in a very straightforward way to understand how all the skills and the amalgamation of those skills form the basis of creativity, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we have been through the most intense years of our lifetime. Not only is the pandemic, but we are in the fourth industrial revolution right now, and a lot of people, much unfortunately, have been substituted by machines.
Right.
And the field of artificial intelligence is the fastest growing field that there is out there. And the sad part of this is that people have spent their lives becoming the hyper specialist in companies, and they get a little old,
Mm.
and then the company's like, I don't need you anymore. And what happens is that this person was never able to reinvent themselves, to be creative, and to kind of like figure out what is it about themselves that they can bring to the job, but
Mhm.
also
Mhm.
kind of like, how do you keep reinventing so that you're not labeled as the hyper specialist who can only do that thing? And so
Right. Or
that is
how,
something.
and
Yeah.
also how can you relabel yourself to yourself if you feel like you're in a rut in your own life?
Absolutely. And this is one of the most fascinating things that I have seen when people come and they say, oh, I'm 50, or I'm 60, and,
Mhm.
it's too late for me. I said, no, it never is too late, because you're never going to be as young as today. Like,
Yeah.
shocking. It's breaking news. Hello. Tomorrow, when you wake up, you're going to be older. So, it's fascinating though, because it's a thing that has to do a lot with identity, and identity also has to do a lot of how you see your body and how you treat your body, right? And the labels that we put on ourselves regarding identity are only because we want them, right?
Yeah.
Because the truth is, and you know this, Rita, that most people are preoccupied with themselves and not with the
Right.
labels that you use. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or
Exactly.
like, if you want to be a rock star tomorrow, well, so be it. I mean, look, yes, people may say you're going through a midlife crisis, but if it makes you happy,
Yeah.
go for it, right?
Yeah.
And that's an extreme example, but it's just to make a point. And I think that, to me, this whole program, and how my participants range from small business owners to employees in law firms, so attorneys, artists, people who are freelancers, and they have really grown healthy businesses freelancing, but they are ready to actually open a company and
Right.
have, like, run a business. And so I don't teach how to run a business. I don't As I said before, these
Right.
are foundational skills for people to come up with ideas. I had one client who not client, sorry, a student who lived, she lived in Atlanta, and for many years she had two businesses. One was she was a part of an organization that trained real estate brokers to keep their licenses alive, and that was one of her businesses. And then she had a different business that had to do a lot with spirituality and I mean, is cleansing auras, whatever. It sounds very woo-woo. And I mean, none of them really made her fully happy. And after doing this program with me, she dug very deeply into like what are the things that she wanted to do, and one of the things she wanted to do was to live abroad. So she and her boyfriend decided that they were going to move to Portugal because it's a place that they love and they had visited in the past, and the immigration was relatively easier than going anywhere else in Europe. And also they thought it was, not as insanely expensive as other places. So with the ideas that she got in my book, in my course, she opened this company where she helps relocate foreigners from all over the world to Portugal. And then once they are there, she hooks them up with everything they need, the apartment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's really going insanely well. And it's all because, and now she developed all the social media and, but it's all happening because she allowed herself to look at the things she loves, to find the joy and purpose in doing something that nobody else was doing. And that happened at the very beginning of the pandemic. So the timing was right because a lot of people also, decided that it was the right time for them to move. Right.
Yeah.
So that's just one out of hundreds who have taken this course.
So the course is an online, and it's that you access it. It's an online portal, and it's modules that you go through. But and you also have Q&A sessions in there.
Q&A session is once a month on Zoom.
And you do that live. Oh, okay.
Live, yeah. So I gather, the group of people, and people come with questions, problems, or solutions, right? Because I think that when you have a dynamic like that, you learn from everybody's failures, wins, how and it's also so collaborative because somebody may say, I don't know how to do this. And then somebody else says, well, this, right? But I also am there to guide them. So the program is obviously self-paced, and it is all the modules build upon each other,
Right.
So it's very easy. It's really,
sounds amazing. And the reason why I'm having Maria dig into this, you guys, and explain this to you is because this sounds great. I'm going to be taking this course, is that this, if you're listening to this, if Maria also has a book coming out, and if you're listening to this past March 15th, 2022, then the book is already out. But you have the opportunity right now, today, if you are listening to this between March 9th and March 15th, 2022, to get Maria's offering as a bonus as part of her book launch. So if you buy her book, How Creativity Rules the World, then you get to enroll in this course absolutely free. So, and Maria will be doing, so tell us a little bit about this, and tell us a little bit about your book, Maria.
Yes. So the book, as you said, is called How Creativity Rules the World. And right now, if you're listening, between the 9th of March and the 15th of March is on pre-order phase, even though the 15th is the date launches, and I'm going to keep the offer for your people until midnight of the 15th.
Okay. So you hear that. You got to get it by the midnight on the 15th.
Yes. And yeah, so what people need to do is to pre-order the book or get it the 15th, and in anywhere, right? Like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, IndieBound, independent bookstores, if you happen to still go to them, which I encourage people. And then they just have to email that confirmation to book@mariabrito.com. That's BRIT as in Tom O.com, and you'll be in. And
just FYI, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Maria, but if you're thinking, oh my God, I've got to write this all down. No, you don't. It's in the show notes. So there will be a link to Amazon. Sorry, I'm linking you to the evil empire. And then because it's the easiest thing
It's convenient. It's very convenient.
Then you will, and I'm going to put Maria's email address that you then show proof of purchase.
Yes, and also, sorry to interrupt you, Rita. I just want to make sure it's only the hardcover. We're only giving this to people who buy the hardcover.
Okay.
Because we are giving is almost $650 free, really.
Right.
I mean,
it's like an amazing course.
It is an amazing course. It's an amazing deal. I've added, recently added a whole audio program that it's fantastic, and it's designed to rewire your neurons. And I know that people love this, and I'm going to tell them the truth. It takes 66 days at a very minimum to rewire your brain. If you ever heard 21, I don't know if you have said this, Rita, I'm sorry.
I probably have, Maria.
Nope. No, folks, I have studied this, and I went after every piece of research until I found the study by Philippa Lally from the University of London. It takes 66 days at the very bare minimum to rewire your brain. Of course, 21 days is great, but
it doesn't shifting a habit, but not rewiring your brain. The 21 days is funny. It comes from a plastic surgeon who was measuring the reaction of his patients who've got a nose job. And at the 21st day, they felt very comfortable with the new nose when they looked at themselves in the mirror. So this is where the 21 days come. Yeah. So, well, bottom line is the book, by the time, I don't know, because Amazon decides its own pricing is dynamic. Right now is $26. The day of the launch, it might be less than that. So you're buying that and you're getting access to almost $650 in bonuses, interviews with super exclusive, people who have built really incredible businesses out of their ideas. But I think also what's in this book is very applicable to people who are struggling with their habits, their weight, the way they see themselves, because it is a window of opportunity to start tackling problems from other angles. And I think that if that's valuable to you, this is going to help you out. Yeah. I mean, I think that what a great, and if you knew the amazing artists and clients that Maria has, I mean, it's just mind boggling, but Maria's been she's poured her soul into this. But just to mention about what she's just talking about, creativity and weight management, I know I talked about this a little earlier, is that I see the main reason people don't succeed at long-term weight management isn't because of discipline. It isn't because of willpower. It's because they're inflexible in their thinking. And really what is required is really a willingness to be creative and think outside the box, because your weight management journey isn't going to look like anybody else's. So to start to cultivate a confidence in your creativity is going to open doors for you, because most of the answers to the weight struggle are in you. But and I always say that, go find the key to that. And creativity is really at the basis of this. So I love that Maria is offering this amazing offer, that it is so valuable. I'll be in it. I'll be going to those Zoom classes. So I hope you'll take up on it, because I really think it's going to be an amazing journey that we're all going to embark on. Creativity.
Thank you, Rita. And just to remember, guys, the name of the book is How Creativity Rules the World, and it's published by HarperCollins. And Rita is going to give you the link to Amazon. It will
all be in the show notes, as well as a link to your course and what all is in it, so you can have a look at it. Maria, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of this with you and creativity. Is there one last little tidbit to give the folks listening today about, that they can do it, even if they think that they're the least creative person in the world?
I think that we've given people the most important things that they can start doing right now, which is that the meditation silence, to pay attention to what's happening outside of their areas of expertise and fields. And that also includes to look at the margins. Usually the most valuable opportunities are happening in things that are not yet developed, right? Like what was once a very marginal movement on the streets of the Bronx became hip hop, right? And so, video games were for freaks at some point, right? I mean, it was a thing that only computer programming people would be considered. That why are they attached to a remote in front of a screen, right? And solar panels, right? And electrical cars. Those are right now things that we are still looking at with a lot of like, is this for real? Well, I think you can start looking at all the things that are happening in those margins and far away. Whatever your kids are doing, pay attention to that. When my kids started playing with Discord and TikTok, I was like, what is that? I wish I would have joined back then. You know what I mean? I wish I would have joined, but I didn't, because I was busy, but I was paying attention to what they were doing. And I think that, I know that this sounds exhausting. The world is vast, but the good news is that creativity is everywhere. And it could be someone who wants to write a book, right? It could be someone who wants to write a song. It could be someone who wants to start a business, or it could be someone who wants to design a new strategy for their weight management and their lifestyle. The applications of creativity are endless. And the good thing is that we all have it.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, thank you, Maria, for joining us. I really appreciate your time, and good luck with the launch of your book and everything. And I will look forward to seeing you in your course.
Thank you, Rita, and thank you to everybody who has listened.
Thank you again, Maria.
Thanks.
And please check out in the show notes, if you're listening to this before March 15th, 2022, the deadline for Maria's bonus offer when you pre-order her book. I have seen the galleys of the book, and it is really amazing. Very, very cool. So check it out. I will be seeing you in her creativity course. So have an amazing week, and remember that the key, and probably the only key to unlocking the door of the weight struggle, is inside you. So keep listening and find it. Thanks for listening to the Thin Thinking Podcast. Did that episode go by way too fast for you? If so, and you want to dive deeper into the mindset of long-term weight release, head on over to www.shiftweightmastery.com. That's www.shiftweightmastery.com, where you will find numerous tools and resources to help you unlock your mind for permanent weight release, tips, strategies, and more. And be sure to check the show notes to learn more about my book, From Fat to Thin Thinking, Unlock Your Mind for Permanent Weight Loss, and to learn how to subscribe to the podcast so that you never miss an episode.